if there's one thing that Nintendo has screwed up in the past, 22 years, it would be not giving my boy Ash a championship.
Well, funny about that is he gave himself one recently.
How do you give yourself a championship?
Well, after 22 years, he's finally won a tournament, hasn't he?
He's still age 10, and Pikachu should be like level 1000. Like, Pikachu should be able to walk into a building, and literally every Pokemon in there should just faint. They should just be like, alright, we're out. Pikachu's got too much ability, like, we're done.
I know, man. It's kind of weird, because I was thinking about it, like, I was like, has he really never won a tournament? And then I remembered the only time I remember him in a tournament, which was when he lost when Charizard disobeyed him. But I've literally I don't know how many people from my generation kind of kept up, especially now that I see the images of Ash and I've been like, oh, he looks different now, although he's still 10.
Hashtag Sharp Boy for life.
Are you a fan of the old or the new?
I'm hashtag Sharp Ash. Sharp Ash every day.
I just find it like it looks so different. I think, it's just like, oh.
He looks like he doesn't have a chin. It looks like it looks like somebody took an oval and just slapped it on his face and went, here you go.
And he's grown really long cheeks now as well, which is quite odd. But, it's kind of crazy to think that, you and I would have watched Pokemon as a child. Oh, 100%. And to think that it's been 22 years and it's still ongoing, is a testament to that. I think, obviously, new Pokemon comes out, in November as well, which if you haven't got a Switch, that might be the time. But it's kind of crazy to think that I still remember playing Pokemon Red at Christmas, and everything like that, to now, 22 years later, nearly 30, our boy got a tournament. It's kind of crazy to think, like, when you can start gauging your kind of life journey side by side with, like, an anime character, it's kind of crazy.
At this rate, by the time that I turn 88, Ash will have won 4 tournaments.
And still be 10.
And still be magically the youngest 10-year-old in the world. Brock was like 25. Brock has continued to age. Misty has continued to age. Ash is the only one who is 10.
When was the last time that you watched the Pokemon anime?
If I'm going to be completely transparent here, it was like Orange League. It was, because I still played the games. I still loved playing the games. But my dad actually would start getting me up on Saturday mornings. Instead of to watch cartoons, I'd have to go out and work. So I'd be out mowing lawns, saving up money for the newest Pokemon game. I played Yellow. I'm a yellow boy through and through. Then it was Gold, Sapphire, and then I just kept cycling through those 3. Like, I put in so many hours with just those 3 games specifically. It should be illegal. I ended up getting Leaf Green, the remake.
That was a great game.
The original. And
good.
It took everything that I loved about the new games and just put me back in a world that I enjoyed, and I could actually run instead of walk everywhere. That was such a game changer. Like, the mechanics for Pokemon, when they switched it from being able to walk to you can run and use a speed bike, night and day.
Well, the thing is especially, like, if you'd ever played it on an emulator and you could do that thing where you speed it up by, like, holding the spacebar or something like that, you can never then go back to just playing the original because you feel like you're going at a snail's pace. And, like, even, like, I would just, like, hold the spacebar, so even, like, the battles, I could get through them in, like, 10 seconds. I could just, like, you could just, like, farm, everything like that. So it was a bit tough going back to it. But then they did try to redo it with that Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee. That was essentially a retelling of the original. But they kind of, like, incorporated, like, a Pokemon Go-ish, like, I haven't played it, so don't crucify me if I'm wrong, but I believe that catching Pokemon, you weren't actually battling them per se, in terms of, like, wild Pokemon. You were just doing the kind of Pokemon Go thing, and then you would fight the gyms as normal and everything like that. So it was kind of very easy. They said, a lot of people felt kind of babied with it, but then, like you, Ruby and Sapphire were probably my favourites. But then Gold as well. Like, Gold was so good. So was Red, but I feel like there was something. I remember being in secondary school, which was, I think, like, high school for you guys.
Yep.
And I would take my Game Boy Advance and I would just, like, I remember I'd be in, like, English and my desk would be here and I would just be, like, playing it like that. Just, like, trying to That was my Game Boy SP because it had the backlight, so I could hide it underneath my desk. And I just have good memories of like first time like trading it with friends, but like still kind of being a teenager at that point as well. I absolutely love that game.
So, I mean, I'm going to ask you two very important questions then. And these are going to be the most important questions of this day. First of all, to commemorate Ash and his victory, what is your favorite Ash moment?
It's really sad, but I really like the fact that he was really protective over Caterpie at the start. And the moment that it became Metapod, and then, you know, Misty was so disgusted by Metapod, and then the way that he kind of like looked after Metapod, and then it became this beautiful Butterfree, and then she liked it. I don't know, I've got such good memories of those early episodes as well, that was one that stood out for me. I remember seeing the Pokemon movie as well.
Oh my God.
I went to the cinema to watch that, and I remember I got a commemorative Mew card. It looked like an ancient card. And then obviously there was that moment everyone thought that Ash died. That was really sad, and as a kid for me, that was really sad. And my mum's just sat there just watching me and my brother just like in tears. So I would say that, yeah. What about you?
It was the Ash dying, quote unquote, in Pokemon the first movie. Like that scene, that's how you know what Ash is truly about. He sees these two legendary beings like fighting against each other. These things are basically gods in the Pokemon world for how strong they are. He doesn't think anything of it. He's sitting there, he's seeing all of these Pokemon in pain, and he does the most Ash Ketchum thing that I can think of. He runs to the center of a supercharged up beam. He's like, I can stop this with my body. And when he turned to stone, like, I still get tears in my eyes. Like, I made a video about it, and I teared up while I was making that video.
It was the reaction. Yeah, it was the reaction from the other Pokemon as well, you know, because it showed you what he meant to them. And
they're like, half the Pokemon are like, I don't even know this guy. Yet he just jumped in front of a freaking mind beam.
I know.
For all of us.
It's like, damn, you got in front of those two? Like, that guy's got balls, you know.
I mean, he's got a lot of Pokeballs.
He does indeed. He does indeed. Yeah, that's a solid moment, but I also think that's because it's something from our youth that we kind of hold on to, because I remember when that movie came out, it was such a big deal that Pokemon the movie was coming out, and I just remember the cinema was packed. I mean, even nowadays, you don't really get packed cinemas anymore, and I just remember it being such a big deal, like Pokemon's coming to the big screen, you know, and we kind of just don't get that anymore. I know that they've had many kind of films since, but I would lose count. I know they're remaking that film. They did remake that film, actually.
They kind of remade the film. Not exactly, not like a shot-for-shot remake, but they've also tried to do those emotional moments, and I was like, yeah, these are kind of cool emotional moments, but they don't feel the same.
Didn't they make Pikachu talk in English at one point as well? I saw there was a video online of someone was like filming the theatre, and Pikachu goes, I assume I could be wrong. Don't kill me. Pikachu says something in English, and the whole crowd just goes, "What the hell?" And like everyone's going crazy. So yeah, that's kind of crazy that they actually made Pikachu be able to understand English. But then you spent 22 years with Ash now, so you might have picked up a few things, you know.
Meowth can speak English because he taught himself.
Yeah.
But the next most important question is, what is your Pokemon starter? Like, from any generation, which Pokemon would you start off with? Not its final evolved form. Which starter?
Well, I've got an affinity with Bulbasaur. I love Bulbasaur. I would say it's tough. It's between Bulbasaur and Cyndaquil. I love those two too much. And obviously, Cyndaquil grows up to be a very, very good boy later on in life with our boy Typhlosion.
The ultimate cheaty boy in Pokemon Gold, the original.
Oh, it is a cheat code. It is so good. It's broken. I would say Bulbasaur, and just because that was the very first Pokemon I chose. Obviously, it meant that the first two gyms were a walk through the park, being super effective against both. But after that, I think the fact that once you get to like the Elite Four, it becomes like Venusaur is probably the weakest out of the main three like final evolutions. And there's not many great grass type Pokemon out there, whereas you can get, you know, good fire types and water types, especially once Gyarados comes along, or even Dragonite. Like, you're pretty much spoiled for choice. I wouldn't choose, what's the final evolution of Bulbasaur? Blastoise. I wouldn't choose Blastoise over one of those two.
You mean Squirtle?
I mean, like, obviously, we're talking about the final evolved forms.
Yeah.
I think Venusaur is the most powerful grass type that there is. But in terms of, like, fire type, Charizard's obviously a great boy, but there are other great fire types, and there are even better water types than there are for Blastoise as well. What about you?
You mentioned my boy Cyndaquil. And, again, the very first Pokemon game that I played was Pokemon Yellow, so I didn't even have a choice in my original starter. I got shoehorned with Pikachu, and let me tell you, for the first gym, that is the absolute worst first choice that you can get.
It really is.
Because all that you can fight from, like, between there and Brock is birds, bugs, and Nidorans. And that's it.
It's true.
And so I had to build my team around Nidoran, and that was how I survived. But if I'm going to choose one, it is going to be the Fire Hedgehog, Cyndaquil.
So good, so cute.
And again, way too OP at the very end. The fact that he could learn Thunder Punch and Earthquake, he was literally like, I taught him Thunder Punch, Earthquake, Dynamic Punch, and Flamethrower.
Ugh, absolute broken.
I walked into the Elite Four with like a level 65 or 70 Typhlosion, and I soloed. Like, just with Typhlosion, I just walked through everybody.
Yeah, you just walk in and Typhlosion's like, hold my beer. You know, like, I've got this.
I'll be right back, boys. It seems like a good one.
So, we hope you enjoyed the show. We sure did. But what's next? Well, firstly, we'll be bringing you these shows every 2 weeks, as well as highlight clips of each episode. So, hit that subscribe button. It means that you won't miss out on any content from Brian and myself. Also, be sure to hit that like button, as that really does help support the channel in the best possible way. If you want to find us on social media, you can. We are on Twitter at LGSerial, as well as both myself, Alonzi with an underscore, and at Lohili1. And lastly, be sure to check out our very own YouTube channels. If you want to see more manga and anime based content, you can find me at Alonzi, as well as Lohili. All the links will be in the description. So, thank you for joining us today, and until next time, peace.